Friends, today we are going to talk about protein trafficking inside the nucleus part 2. So into the earlier video we have seen how these proteins are moving across the nuclear core complex and getting inside the nucleus. So today we are going to talk about nuclear localization signal, and we'll see how the nuclear localization signal is helping the protein to get inside the nucleus. So be with me into this video. So friends, let's begin with nuclear localization signal. Today I am going to describe nuclear localization signal in different points. So let's begin with our first point, which is this nuclear localization signal is a heptapeptide sequence. That means it is formed of 7 amino acid sequences or 7 amino acid sequence. Okay, and what is this sequence? This is proline, lysine, 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 arginine, lysine, valine. These 7 amino acids must be present onto the end of any protein destined to move inside the nucleus. If this sequence is not present onto the end, then that protein will not be able to reach to the inside of nucleus. Okay. So suppose if I am having this protein. Suppose I am having this protein. Onto the end of this, there must be a structure present. This is the structure. Sorry, this is the sequence. There must be a sequence present to which we call as nuclear localization signal. This sequence must be present onto the end of the proteins. Okay. So this sequence would be recognized by importance. These are the importance which are transporters, and this sequence would be taken to the nuclear core complex and there they will bind to the cytoplasmic filaments and will be able to move inside the nucleus. Okay, so this heptapeptide sequence must be present inside any protein destined to move inside the nucleus. So this was our first point. So friends, our second point is that this sequence, the 7 amino acid sequence, can be continuous or can be discontinuous. And what does it mean? It means that it is not necessary for this sequence to be together always. This sequence could be interrupted by a maximum of 10 amino acids. So if we place 10 amino acid in between this sequence, and if the sequence is present inside the protein, even then this protein will be able to move inside the nucleus. And by saying that, what I mean that, for example, if I am having this sequence like proline, lysine, 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 and then I am having any 10 amino acid in between, and then I am having arginine, lysine, and valine. Now, because this particular sequence is interrupted by 10 amino acids, will it be able to move inside the nucleus? Yes, it will be. Why? Because I just said this sequence can be continuous. That means this 7 amino acid can be together, or this can be discontinuous by a maximum of 10 amino acids. So here I am having 10 amino acid sequence in between this heptapeptide sequence, and still this sequence will be, this protein will be able to move inside the nucleus. So the sequence can be continuous or can be discontinuous. So friends, our third point is that this sequence is a bipartite sequence. And what do we mean by bipartite sequence? That means it is divided into two different parts. First one is the lysine, 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 and second one is arginine, lysine. So this is the first partite, this is the second partite. Now these are the major sequence presence of which is absolutely necessary for the protein to move inside the nucleus. So for example, if I am having a sequence proline, lysine, lysine, glutamine, aspartate, lysine, arginine, lysine and valine. Now because here you can see that the 3 lysine sequence, which is our partite 1, is interrupted by glutamine aspartate. Now because this has been interrupted, 3 lysine sequence, this protein will not be able to get inside the nucleus, even though we are having arginine lysine present over here. Okay, but this will not be able to get inside the nucleus because this lysine sequence is interrupted by glutamate and aspartate. Now take the second case. If I am having proline, lysine, arginine, glutamate, aspartate, lysine, valine. Now, even though we are having our partite 1, this sequence will not be able to move inside the nucleus. Why? Because our partite 2 is now interrupted by glutamine and aspartate. So this will not be able to move inside the nucleus. So when this protein will be able to move inside the nucleus? Only when we are having this heptapeptide sequence, and into that heptapeptide sequence, this lysine sequence and the arginine lysine sequence are intact. Okay, so these sequences are very important for the protein to get inside the nucleus. So let's move on to our fourth point. So friends, our fourth and last point is this transport recognition receptor. These transport recognition receptors are the receptors which are recognizing this NLS in any protein, and then they are taking it to the nuclear pore complex where they are binding to cytoplasmic filament and moving inside the nucleus. So what are these transport recognition receptors? Basically these are the importins. Okay, these importins are a member of karyoferrin family. These importins, as I showed you into the last diagram, we suppose this was my protein. This protein has an Hence nuclear localization signal, and then importins were recognizing to this nuclear localization signal, and then they were taking it to the NPC and getting inside the nucleus. Okay, so these importins are the proteins which are helping into the input of proteins, and basically they are recognizing the importin, they are recognizing the nuclear localization signal and then taking the protein inside the nucleus through nuclear pore complex. So this was all about the nuclear localization signal and how that is helping into the translocation of protein inside the nucleus. So this was our part 2. Into part 3 we will talk about this importins and exportins and how the proteins are migrating across the nucleus. Okay, so thank you for watching this video.